Good morning. This is Bob at Casa Mariposa in the gardens. Today we're going to be planting a brand new avocado tree that we just received a couple days ago. We were up in Homestead and we picked it out ourselves. It's a Brogdon avocado. It's going to go on our fruit mound that is around our fire pit. We selected this avocado because it has a very rich and creamy and somewhat nutty taste, and it has a very interesting landscape value in the sense that the avocados themselves actually turn dark black when they're ripe. They're medium sized, the pit is fairly small, the taste is supposed to be absolutely delicious. I've never tasted one, but it looks like it's going to be a winner for our yard. So we're planting it on our fruit mound. This is our fruit mound. We've had a cold spell come through, so one of our trees at least, the guanabana, or otherwise known as the soursop, has lost most of its leaves, but they're coming back through vigorously right now. And so we're going to plant this in the back of the fruit mound. And the fruit mound also contains a number of other plants, including palms and a pineapple right next to it, and some mangoes. And so this will be our second avocado tree that we're going to have in the garden. We're very excited about it. I'm going to go through the process that we select for doing this. The fruit mound itself actually is a little bit higher than the elevation of the ground surrounding it, and was made with what they call 50-50, which is 50% sand and 50% topsoil. What's good about that is the sand actually holds onto water, and the topsoil sort of serves as the binding agent. We're going to amend it with a little bit of some other things that add to porosity and thus allow the roots to get more oxygen. And I'm going to be putting on a few other things that actually help support root growth and nutrition of the plant. So this is the hole. It's about 8 inches deeper than the hole is dug, is where the base of the garden starts. Our garden is mostly fill, so it's a lot of calcium, and it's a very basic or alkaline soil. And the 50-50 that's on the top of that is actually a little bit more acidic, a little bit less alkaline. So we want to make sure that when we dig the hole, that we mix a little bit of that underlying soil in with the 50-50, so that when the roots get down a little bit, they will start to, they will have experienced that kind of chemistry of the soil, so they won't just reach that barrier and stop and go horizontally at that point. Now, avocados, it should be noted, only have a depth of about 12 to 18 inches of roots, so it's not that bad. This is a perfect location to be digging this and planting this tree. I'm using a new shovel that I got from Jace and Allie and Lily, and it seems to work really well. I've already dug the hole for the most part, and now I'm going to be placing the avocado into the hole. This is what we're going to need to plant the avocado. First, of course, we need an avocado tree. And this is our Brogdon avocado. I've got some more 50-50 soil over here, which is, again, as I mentioned, comprised of 50% sand and 50% topsoil. I also have here mycorrhiza, which are microorganisms that you put in association with the roots when you start planting it, and it helps to promote growth and nutrient uptake and vigor of the plant. So I like to put this on the roots when I plant whatever plant it is. This is a mixture of perlite and vermiculite, which actually serves to provide aeration within the soil. It's sort of, the sand does that in the 50-50 mix, but this actually adds a little bit more. And I like to put both of these in here. The perlite has a tendency to float to the surface over time, and the vermiculite does not. So I like to use both of these together. They sort of serve as a sort of substitute for different granular sizes of sand. I have some fertilizer that I like to put on, and this is palm fertilizer that is produced locally in Homestead for our types of soil. It is made to be able to provide nutrients in an alkaline soil. I'll put a little bit of this on the top so that it can leach down into where the plant is, but I'm not going to put much. I'll put a little bit, but not much into the hole with the plant itself. And finally, I've got something called azomite. And the azomite stands for A to Z micro elements. And so it's actually ground up pumice and other minerals. And this provides a mineral basis for nutritionally improving the soil. So those are the ingredients that we'll be using to plant the tree. So here's our tree. It's out of the pot, and you can see all the roots. It's become sort of root bound. Roots start to go in circular patterns around the pot, which is not good because it'll grow like that if they get too thick like this. So that's in fact one of the reasons why a lot of people use a cloth planter instead of using a plastic pot. And so I'm going to tear this apart a little bit, put the mycorrhiza on it, and put it into the hole. So now I'm putting some of the azomite into the hole, just to add those minerals and trace elements. And I'm going to break apart some of the roots on the tree here, so that they will grow more horizontally rather than continue in the circular pattern. Okay, so I've broken the roots out a little bit from its root ball, and I'm going to now put it into the hole and then sprinkle some of the mycorrhiza onto it. You'll notice that it's still elevated a little bit, but we'll take care of that when we actually build up the berm around it. Again, I'm going to put on the mycorrhiza, and this has a nice little spoon that I want to make sure that it gets on where it should go, onto the roots. So it's actually good that this hole just fits it like it does. And just a little bit more. Perfect. Next step is to put some of the 50-50 in there, and I'll mix it with some of the azomite as well as some of the vermiculite and perlite, and we'll get a good mixture to go into the hole. So now I'm going to mix up the soil that we'll use for putting around the plant. Again, here's some more 50-50. Some of you may be wondering why I'm not using compost or some other organic materials. And the research has shown that actually these materials, like compost and other kinds of topsoils that are more organic in nature, that in other words decompose trees and things, will actually lead to root rot, because they will start to decompose and hold moisture, when the reality is that you want the moisture to be provided to the plant but not to be held in the hole that you're putting it in. So that's why I'm using 50-50. I'm putting it into my mixing vessel here. And I am going to add the azomite and vermiculite to that. And then we're going to add some of the azomite. Sorry, I added perlite and vermiculite before. Now I'm adding the azomite. A little bit more. Provides a lot of trace elements and minerals. And just a little bit of this palm fertilizer. Just a little, not much. I think that's good. And now I'll mix it, and then we'll use it to plant. Ready to fill the hole. Okay. So now I'm going to fill the hole with the soil. Meanwhile, I'm being supervised by Grace. And because it is so much lower on the front than the back, I'm going to be increasing the size of the berm so that when we start watering this, it'll be retained within the area of the avocado. I'll take some of the soil that I used to dig out the hole. Start building up the berm on this side. You want to make sure there's no air pockets in here, so I'm going to tamp this down real good. It's a very important part of the process right here. So you'll notice when I planted this tree that I planted it so that it's at the top of the where it was in the pot. We don't want to plant it lower or higher. If we plant it higher, then it will have a tendency to rot around the tree trunk. So what I'll do in my next steps are I will put mulch around the outside, not touching the trunk because that will cause rot to occur. And then I'm going to water it heavily so that it's soaked through, and we'll water it probably every day for the first week or so, and then maybe twice a week after that until it gets established, and then we don't have to water it as often. So if you like this video, I encourage you to go ahead and click like and subscribe so you can get more information like this on what we're doing in the garden and elsewhere around the garden at Casa Mariposa. We hope to have mangoes coming out. I just noticed today that the flowers are starting to come out on the mangoes, and got a lot of flowers on some of the sapotes, so we're coming into our fruiting season. It's a very exciting time for us.